Hello and welcome to Republican Roundtable. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Jen Zielinski, and this election season we get to vote for our congressional candidates. With us from Minnesota's 5th Congressional District is Dalia Al-Aqidi. Dalia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks for giving me the opportunity, since we Republican candidates don't get that many media opportunity. So thanks for having me.
You're welcome, and you're probably running in one of the hardest districts, Minnesota's 5th. Tell us about yourself first off.
My name is Dalia Al-Aqidi. I am currently the executive director of ACE, which is the American Center for Counter-Extremism.
Okay.
I'm also a senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy in DC, and a founding member of Clarity Coalition, and a journalist for 36 years. And the most important one is the endorsed candidate in the 5th District.
You are a busy lady there.
No kidding.
All right, what else have you done? What brought you to Minnesota's 5th Congressional District?
I've been a journalist for 36 years, basically when I was 20, and that's a long story. Mm-hmm. But for the past 20 years, my focus was always on radical Islamism movements and the Muslim Brotherhood. Mm-hmm. So in 2018, during the UN General Assembly, mm-hmm. The godfather of the Muslim Brotherhood is the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Okay. Of course, on my radar is always the Council on American Islamic Relations. So out of the blue, when I'm in DC, mm-hmm. I was following up, and then I see that the Turkish president met with a Somali lady from Minnesota. And I'm like, why would that president meet with this person mm-hmm. with the help of CARE? So after a few months, she got elected. Mm-hmm. I've tried so hard to reach out to her office, to interview her, because I follow Arabic media as well. So I see how the media and the Arabic media in the Middle East, they're like, she's the hero, blah, 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 you know. So I've tried to reach out to her until my email started bouncing back. So, and then I decided, you know what? I want to go and see who these people are and why did they vote for her. So I started doing work here, mm-hmm. Talking to the people in the 5th District and trying to understand why would they vote for her. And I fell in love with the Twin Cities. So in 2019, I moved here, and probably this was the mistake that Ilhan Omar did.
Was ignoring you.
Absolutely.
And now you're going to be her, I don't want to say biggest enemy, but you're her opponent, and you're going to call her out on everything she's done. You
know, it would have been easier for her to grant me an interview and then we'll be done with it. Mm-hmm. But I think that's faith. And it's very important for me to face these people or this group that are using the radical Islamism and political Islamism to gain votes, mm-hmm. because that's what they've been trying to do, to infiltrate our system or in the mm-hmm. West in general. They have a different approach than us or the Americans, which sometimes people think, and they said, oh, Dalia is anti-Muslims, or the term Islamophobia. Mm-hmm. This is not the truth, but mm-hmm. I come from a very tough area in the Middle East, and I truly understand what political Islamism is doing to this region, including the Islamic Republic of Iran, and mm-hmm. what's happening in the whole region due to these policies. And that's why I try to reach out to explain throughout my career, to explain to Americans in general and to the mm-hmm. world that, look, it's okay to criticize these movements, because these movements are not representative of the Muslims in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's why the majority of people left their countries or fled their countries, including me. I fled mm-hmm. Iraq in 1988. Running away from these policies. I don't mm-hmm. want to turn my district or the country that I love to a copy of where I came from or where I fled from.
And you can see that almost starting in the United States or going pretty hard what a lot of people are trying to leave.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I could speak for thousands, if not millions. In certain areas in the world, we've lived under dictatorship and under socialist parties, and that's what made us leave and go somewhere else. We leave our families, we leave our the country that we were born in, looking for a better life for us, looking for opportunities, looking for freedom. In Iraq, I wasn't allowed to think, to speak, not even to dream. So can you see how some of the people, including Ilhan Omar, try to oppress the same people or use them to just import policies from where she came from? This is insane.
And that's what we see from her extremism and from her beliefs. Dalia, you're running for probably one of the highest levels of government, the U.S. Congress. What would you hope to accomplish, and what's your platform that you're running on?
Look, we have a huge problem in the 5th District. I don't need to tell you how bad it is, but we can see from the crime rate, we can see from inflation, we can see from the prices. I mean, I know I have friends with families that they struggle every day or every time they go to the grocery store. We see the taxes are high. We deserve much better than this. We see a leader that is trying to divide us based on false narrative and misleading narrative. We need somebody that could unite us all again, that could build bridges between the communities, because after all, we all have the same goals. We all want to live a decent life. We all want to live with dignity, and that's what I'm trying to do. I want to represent everybody in our district. I'm not running to just represent Republicans, Democrats, Independents, because that's how a leader is.
Absolutely. And what are some of those issues that you see facing the 5th? We have crime, we have inflation. We see that families are having to make choices at the grocery store. There's no such thing as a cheap run to the grocery store anymore. Are there other major national issues that are affecting the 5th?
Absolutely. Other than these issues, we have education. Look at our school system. Kids in 5th and 8th grade can't read anymore, and nobody pays attention to it. We have schools that are abandoned in poor areas, and nobody is, they're good at giving slogans, you know. They're so good. Oh, we need this, and oh, we need that, and oh, we need justice. We all want justice. We all want social justice. But the question is, how do we achieve that? How do we improve the lives of the 5th District, not only in one area or two, but everywhere? This is the most important thing. Education, education, education. We don't need kids in the street.
Absolutely. I think we have some of, I want to say almost the worst schools, and I don't want to downgrade the kids or the teachers that do that, but we see cities like Brooklyn Center, even Minneapolis, where they spend so much per kid, and we just don't see those quality results that we should be seeing.
Because we need a new system. We need to work on teachers. We need to support the teachers, and we need to support the kids as well. Some schools needs more funds than others. We shouldn't just overlook these schools. We shouldn't just ban school choice. If I'm living in a bad area and I have kids and that school is not good, and I have good kids that they want to learn, I want to be able to send them to any school, because this is the future. We cannot just let them, because you know what? When you have uneducated generations, so easy to manipulate and so easy to lead that generation. And that's what we need.
And they don't understand what's happening in government. They don't understand these policies that are coming through and what they're really turning this country into, unfortunately.
Exactly. No. They just follow inaccurate narrative sadly, by the media, without having the urge to search and to look behind what's happening.
Now, another big issue that we see facing this nation is immigration. As a Republican running for Congress, you probably hear from a lot of Democrats, maybe they don't always like some of the takes they see on immigration. They think it's maybe a racist term or something. What's your take on immigration border policy?
Look, I'm very strong at immigration,
yes,
at terrorism, national security. That's what I've been doing for a long, long, long time, given the fact that I've covered war zones around the world. I've covered terrorist attacks around the world. And I myself came in 1993 to the United States legally. I was in Saudi Arabia after I left Iraq, and I've met a person named Chris Stevens, who was the U.S. ambassador who was killed in Benghazi, Libya. He's the one who convinced me to move to the U.S., and he's the one who helped me and my family to move to the U.S. I went through a long, long process, even though I've been to the U.S. before as a tourist. I came to visit family members in LA in 1991, but I chose to respect the country that allowed me in, and I didn't overstay my welcome. But back to that, we went through a long process of vetting to make sure that these people aren't terrorists or criminals or killers. I'm not saying everybody is, but you cannot, any country around the world, choose the worst country.
El Salvador, I don't want to call it the worst country, but like El Salvador or a lot of that.
Any country, you cannot.
Yeah.
They will not allow you to enter their borders just like this. And the problem with us is, since Biden took office, and Harris, of course, which was the one who's in charge of this issue, which is a very important issue. Now, as we all see, the media is trying to say, oh, she wasn't. Anyways, we've seen millions coming in, not only from Mexico or from all over the world, from Iran, from Jordan, from India, from China. We don't know who these people are. And you know what, Jen? There are millions that went through a long process of vetting, are waiting all over the world. We want people to come in. Hey, I came in. But when I came in, I went through the system, and back then, when you come in, you don't get anything. It's not like, we're going to give you a house, we're going to give you Medicare, we're going to give you this, and all the handouts. No, I had to work for everything. So it's not fair that we give Medicare to illegal immigrants while we need Medicare for the rest of us. We are just taking all the resources that the Americans need and the people who live legally in the United States, the residents' needs, and giving all these resources to illegal immigrants that we can't even trace as soon as they enter the United States. And that's why we see sometimes protests, even in New York, which is like very liberal. They're sick and tired of it. They need somebody, they need help. You know, you can bankrupt the medical system because you want to tell these people, allow these people to come, and then give them the legal papers, and then vote. They would vote for them, because it's like, okay, I'm doing you a favor. That's how you return the favor to us.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see Americans wake up across the system. I mean, both people who have come across legally and both people who have been born here, saying, wait a second, there are people here that are dangerous in our society, and they need to be checked out before we let them in.
Americans are waking up, surely but slowly. And I believe that we need true leaders that would talk to people and make them understand that it's not about racism. It's not about anything else. It's about national security.
Yes.
It's about defending and protecting our resources for America to be a better place. The young generation cannot do anything when they if they go to school and they graduate from college. We strip them from the American dream because they
Yes.
can't even leave their parents' house anymore. Is that how we want us to be?
No, because what we're finding right now is they can't afford to live in an apartment. They can't afford to buy a house. Some of them can't even find jobs right now because the job market is just gotten crazier and crazier.
Just today,
Yes.
before I came here, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's like, "Well, my kid is in school, but she works and she goes to school, but she cannot even afford to buy groceries. So she's like, on my credit card, so I'm feeding my kid while she's working as well." We're torturing our young generations, let alone poisoning their brains on college campuses.
And we're saddling them with more debt. So not only are they having these issues with our campuses where they're being fed certain lies, but we're giving them debt,
We
right?
can't continue printing money.
No.
And that's the job of the Congress. And that's why we are spending money left and right, and we don't know where to get the money from. We need to stop this crazy spending, and we need to focus on what is good for our country. One thing they always ask me is like, okay, you're an Arab. I'm from Iraq. I was born in Baghdad. You are a Muslim. You are a woman. I'm not white, as you can. Okay. How come you are a Republican? Republicans hate you, and this is another false narrative that is driven by the media and by the leaders of the DFL and of Ilhan Omar and
Oh, yes.
Squad. And let me tell you something. On the contrary, the majority of immigrants are conservatives.
Yep.
The difference is because they are so brainwashed and they think that, you know what, these people really hate us. The right, the conservatives, they hate us. But look at me. I am a living proof that the GOP is a party of inclusion. And I am a conservative way before I moved to the US. I brought it with me. And I brought what I've learned, from my culture, from my religion, generosity, values. I didn't change them here. On the contrary, I brought the good values here, and I built on it in this country that I always say that gave me wings to fly. And that's how I became who I am.
And you found that, I want to say the American dream, maybe it's a cliche, but that American dream, and you want to give that to everyone in the Fifth.
Well, it wasn't always a dream. Sometimes it was nightmare,
Yes.
when you have to work and prove yourself. It's not an easy thing, but you work hard, and that's what you get. As soon as I moved to DC, and I was the youngest announcer or
Oh, wow.
anchor with Voice of America. And then for 4 years, I've worked for different outlets, and I was part of the White House press corps back in 2004.
Wow.
Traveled, it was during President Bush, the son.
Yep.
So I've traveled a lot and I've seen a lot, and my focus was foreign policy. And I truly believe that I would be the right one to be sent to back in DC, because I understand these issues. I've worked all my life on these issues. And I love America, and I want to protect it, because when I took my citizenship oath, I took it seriously. I pledged to defend the laws and constitution of the United States of America against all enemies. And this is exactly why I'm running.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Just, going back to, we see like inflation and everything. How would you start to combat that in Congress? What would you start to take?
Spending, spending, spending. This is the main job of the of Congress. We cannot just keep spending left and right. We need to redirect the resources to better channels. We talked about crime. I'm just going to take you back. When my opponent, I always say, she led the efforts to defund the police, and it's not in Congress, but that's what she did. Is she pushed it here. And in other
she was a huge voice back in 2020.
Exactly.
And getting in front of the cameras as much as possible.
So she couldn't do anything in Congress, but pushing and supporting these efforts, she can influence others. But look at that's one of the problems that we have, and it's not okay to stand against the law enforcement. It's not, because we need them. We need our safety. I'm not saying all of them are good. There are bad people, but there are bad people everywhere. There are bad people in our Congress. So this is one of the issues that I will really work hard to put more resources to help the law enforcement, to give more funds for programs, to train them, to give them more benefits at least. So now they can recruit more people. And one of the main issues, I was so happy when Ilhan Omar was kicked out of the Foreign Affairs Committee.
She shouldn't be there in the first place. But
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Because we don't want these people there. And she had a reason why she really wanted to be there. And it's not me talking. It's about, you look at her voting records and look at the countries that are against the U.S., and you'll see she never voted against any of these countries, including Iran or Turkey or Qatar. On the contrary, she votes against our allies like Israel. So we need somebody in Congress that puts the United States' interest above all.
Which that congressional person
that's what it's supposed to.
should be the whole purpose of being in Congress. And I want to say serving your country in that light, where you can be that representative of your district. And
exactly, you don't have to agree with everything the administration, regardless of what. But then you have to defend your country.
Yes.
You need to make your country stronger.
Yes.
Do not insult the country that fed you and opened its arms for you.
Her and her family for how many years?
Not only her, it's so many, like Rashida Tlaib and others. We need to know who our allies are.
Yes.
And we need to treat them accordingly. Because at the end, it all comes back to our national security, and this is very important to every single person in the United States.
Yes. Dalia, we have a couple minutes left. Are there any closing
that
statements?
fast?
It goes so fast. I mean, first of all, I know you could speak for hours on end, but
I don't know how to take this.
no, you're smart, and you've done all your experience. I know you have that experience you could share with us and fight for us.
I have more. I hope that people would go to daliaforcongress.org to know more about me, to know more about the issues that I feel passionately about. Voting is very important.
Yes.
Voting is extremely important. And again, I have to reiterate that I'm not running to just represent Republicans. I'm running to represent all the moderates, and I'm running to bring common sense back. I'm running to build bridges between Muslims, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, everybody. We cannot continue hating each other.
No.
We cannot. We have to wake up and start building bridges and work all together, because we all have the same fate.
We all live together. We got to get along together. We got to work towards the good of this country, not against it.
Absolutely.
One question, I probably should have asked this at the beginning. Minnesota's 5th Congressional District, where is that in our state? What cities are in it?
Minneapolis
Okay.
and the surrounding neighborhoods like St. Louis Park. But let me tell you one thing. I've been doing parades, and I love parades. I love parades. And in all these different neighborhoods, I talk to people, and people come to me. Some people don't know who I am until they see Dalia for Congress, and I tell them that, hey, I'm running for Congress. I'm always in a learning process.
Yes.
And I don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers, but it's good that we talk to each other, and it's good that we learn from each other. That is my goal.
You're going to be constantly representing them. You want to keep that communication. We have 1 minute left. I know you said your website already, but how can any viewers get a hold of you?
DaliaForCongress.org. You go there, you can find our email, the campaign emails. You can volunteer, you can help a lot. And you have to vote. I'm telling them, go vote.
Yes.
Every vote counts, and that's what we need. Enough is enough. We have to go out, vote, and make a change. If we want, we cannot just continue complaining. If you don't vote, you don't get to complain.
Absolutely. That's a good closing statement.
Thank you.
Dalia, thank you for being on Republican Roundtable.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you for joining us on Republican Roundtable. Remember to get registered to vote and vote in August and November. You can register on the Minnesota Secretary of State website, and you can vote early in Minnesota. And remember, if you don't vote, you don't get to complain. Thank you.